Inside this video topic, we'll discuss the most important part of this course, and that is the analysis of WordPress APIs and their endpoints, what basically we need to create this headless application. Let's go back to browser. So as we know that we are trying to create a headless application using React.js with WordPress API calls. So before using any WordPress APIs inside our application, first thing first, we want like APIs endpoints and their parameters. Before going further, I only request you to please hit the like button to give us a thumbs up to this interesting course, and please do subscribe so that I will be creating such type of amazing and interesting courses for you. So remember, inside our previous videos, or if I tell like at the starting stage of this course, also we had done a WordPress installation setup. So simply let's open and go into its admin panel. So I'm just passed like its username and password. Click on login, and successfully we are logged in into WordPress panel. So next after that, let's hover over this website title called WP Headless app. Click on visit site. So I'm pressing Control. Click on this link, and now we can see that this is our front end and this is backend. One most important thing, like before WordPress version 5.7, we don't have any option to see like WordPress APIs and their endpoints. But now we are using 6.6.2, so automatically this WordPress setup automatically provides a default behavior, a default JSON content of all WordPress APIs. So how to open? Simply here we have the front end. Let's go into URL and simply type WP-JSON. This works well whenever we have the WordPress version like WordPress 5.7 or more than that. But before 5.7, actually, we had to install any third party plugin, any extra plugin into our setup to explore or to see APIs of WordPress. But this is the default now integrated inside WordPress. So simply site URL, then we have to type WP-JSON like WP-JSON, hit enter, and now we can see that uh, complete JSON object. Here we have some properties like name, description, URL, home, and we can see like lots of object, lots of properties inside this complete JSON document. Here actually to format this JSON data, I have installed a Chrome extension we can see called JSON formatter. So whenever if you install JSON formatter, a Chrome extension, automatically a JSON data object will be formatted and look like something like this. Next, after this, once we get this JSON data, let's go here inside this namespaces we can see, which is an array. And inside this namespaces, look at a value called wp/v2. Let's copy this namespace. Then I will open a new tab. So after this URL called site URL wp-json, then here wp/v2, hit enter, and now you can see that here we have a separate JSON data, and that is of namespace wp/v2. This is different and this is totally different. If I close this routes object, now we can see that this object is containing 104 items. Let's open, and now we can see that inside this routes object, here we have WPV2 object, and here we have WPV2 post, WPV2 post, and much more things. Let's close one by one. So we can see that it is containing much more things inside this JSON data. So for the time being, we are only interested on the post module, as we have discussed that we have to create a headless application where we have to perform like our CRUD system to create any post, to update any post, to delete any post, or even to list all the posts of WordPress inside our React application. So here, as per the headless application, only we have to focus over the post module and the post WordPress APIs, and which starts from WP V2 post. Obviously, as we know that also we have to focus or also we have to work over the categories, like to list all the categories inside headless application, how to save our featured media image inside WordPress. So additionally, after this post module, also we have to see the concept of categories and featured media. But the thing is that our main focus is only over the analysis of this post route, that is WPV2 post, WPV2 post, some parameters, and all these things what we can see here. Let's open this second object of this routes object. And now we can see that this is the URL like WP2 post. This is the URL what we can use while using our request method called getRequestType and postRequestType. It means this is the URL what we can call using these methods like using getRequest and postRequest. Whenever if I try to call this route, the complete URL will be something. Let's copy this base URL, put here. So after V2, only we need this post here. So if I try to hit this URL using get request, now we can see that it is containing lots of JSON data like array of object, and this is nothing. These are the posts of WordPress. So while hitting this URL directly into browser, it uses get request type. So on the basis of get request type, it has listed all WordPress posts. Next, after this, when I call the same URL using post request type, and additionally we have to pass some parameters. So if I go inside endpoints, let's close this first object which uses get request type. So inside endpoints we can see here we have the second object which uses post request. So here, if I call the same URL using post request type, and additionally inside request body parameters, if I pass data, for example, date underscore GMT, slug, status, so we can see that here we have the ID of all those parameters, what basically we can pass while calling this URL using post request type. So by following this pattern like the API and the parameters by using post request type, we can call and create a WordPress post for WordPress database. So it means if we want to create a WordPress post for a headless application, simply we have to call this URL and we have to pass all these parameters like only the required parameters inside request body. So this is how to create a WordPress post. If I talk about like how to delete, how to update, so for that, let's close this one. Let's open this third object. And now we can see that this third endpoint like WPV2 post. Additionally, we can pass a post ID. So we can see that lots of methods are available while calling this URL. It uses get request type, post request type, put or patch request type, and delete request type. One more thing, like what is the use of all these request type? Let me tell you. So whenever if I want to get all those data like all resources from server, so while getting all those data, simply we have to use get request type. When we want to submit, when we want to post any data to server, simply we have to use post request type. And if I want to update any data into server on the basis of some condition, so while doing any update, we have to use put or patch request type. And lastly, the name itself clears if we want to delete any data on the basis of some condition into server, so we have to use delete request type. So we can see that this URL, it means WPV2 post. Additionally, we have to pass a post ID into URL. So while using this URL, we can call by using multiple methods type. So by using get request type, actually we can get the single post data. So we can see that if I go here, let's open this first object. We can see that it has ID equals to 17. Let's open into a duplicate tab. So if I pass, for example, after this URL, after post, if I pass 17, the post ID, hit enter, and now it is containing a single object which has all the informations of post ID 17. So it means if I call this URL by using get request type, it will give a specific post detail. Now here we have put or patch. It means if I want to update that existing post, for example this post, we have to call this URL. And additionally, if I go into endpoints, this is get request type. Here we have the methods like inside second object of these endpoints. Here we have post, put or patch. So whenever if I call using post request type like the same URL or put or patch request type, if I pass these like values like all these parameters inside request body, simply it will go and update our data into WordPress database. Simply it means that if we want to perform update operation, we can call this URL either using post request type, put or patch request type, but additionally we have to pass our request body parameters. Now let's say that I want to delete a single specific post inside WordPress. So we can see that the same URL like WPV2 post, post ID, but to delete any data, as I told you, like we have to use the concept of delete request type. So if I go inside endpoints, let's close this object. Here inside this third object, we can see method equals to delete. And while calling this URL using delete request type, if I pass ID into URL, automatically that post will be deleted from WordPress. Now inside WordPress, we have two cases to delete. Whenever, if I delete any WordPress post, let's go here first. If I go into this post module, let's go and delete this laptop too. For example, trash here. If I click, and now we can see that that post now deleted from this post list, but it goes into this trash section. It means that right now the status of that post has now changed from published mode to trash mode. But here is the case, like this is not the permanent delete from WordPress database. So that's why inside this API endpoint, next, we can see that while calling that URL using delete request type, here we have a parameter called force. So it means when we call that API and passing force flag, it will delete that specific post permanent from WordPress database. So successfully, inside this video, now we have a clear idea about WordPress post APIs and their endpoints. So step by step, from next video, I will try to implement all these APIs what we had discussed for CRUD application with post module inside our React application. So friends, I think this video is interesting and informative. So please give us a thumbs up, subscribe to this channel. Now let's meet to our next amazing video. So for this video session guys, thank you for watching and have a great day.